Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the workshop of the Board of County Commissioners. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first thing on our agenda today is updates from our department heads, and the first off is Sheriff Nowlin. Come on down, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Just let you know what our numbers are for calls of service if you're not up to date. We had 6,087 as of through the end of May this year, from January to May 31st. Jail population has been fluctuating between 70 and 80. We've had a total of 11,024 days of incarceration since January 1.
How many? 11,000?
11,024 days. And you do know that the Department of Corrections inmate fee per day was increased as of last year. It will end June the 30th of this year at $77.16 per day.
Which is still significantly below.
We're still billing them
where
the
we're at.
regular amount, but that's what the state says that they were reimbursed. Okay.
How much was that? 77.67?
Yeah, $77.16 per day.
So,
Yeah. It'll
so
never
it's
be
about
what you want it to be.
50% of what it's actually costing us.
Yep,
And these are just the DOC holds?
just
or-
the DOC holds, yep.
And how many, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, but can't we deny these? Do we have to continue to do this? Because,
Yeah, unfortunately, we do. Once they're sentenced, we don't have anything else to do.
Yeah, I think just in the context of this conversation, I also think we do. It's not something I've specifically looked at, but that's just my understanding of how this works. We've got this obligation, basically.
I understand that, but I guess my point that I'm trying to make again is the state is supposed to reimburse us for the actual cost. We did our own calculation, we increased the fees to 125, and at the first of the year, they're going up to the 145 or 146, which the actual costs are costing us. They're basically at 50% of, which is just another unfunded mandate. So the people of the community continue to pay for all of these DOC holds that the state requires that, I guess it goes back to the typical unfunded mandate that Mesa County's attorney just sent us the other day. This should just add one more to the list. So I guess we'll have a conversation. I'll stop.
You know, we dealt with this over the years.
I know, but
The law is pretty clear that the Board of County Commissioners can enter into an agreement with the Director of Prisons. I don't have any connection to do that by law, but the county commissioners do, and I think that the previous county attorney attempted that, and I guess it fell in deaf ears, I don't know, so.
we've attempted it more than once.
Okay.
And I don't mind the hold, but it's the reimbursement cost
Exactly.
to be
It still
reimbursed
costs, yeah. Still
for the
costs per
cost
day.
that it's costing us.
Mhm.
The county continues to pay,
Yep.
and we get reimbursed 50% by the state, which is bogus.
Yeah, when you're required by law, by the state statute, to have a jail. And you're right, the state should be paying for their own prisoners.
Okay, sorry. Never
Do
mind.
you
Go
have
on,
any-
Sheriff.
Do you have any figures on how many days that is so far this year?
I can get that to you, but we're looking at probably approximately 80, 89 days.
Okay.
Since January 1. It could be a little bit more than that, yeah. But I can get you the exact figures
Okay.
of how many days those have been. I mean, just last month, it could actually be a lot more than that, because just last month was 67 days. So it has been steadily increasing because of the more convictions that are coming out of district court. So, yeah. Yep.
So even just at 89 days at 50%, that's another $6,200 that we've lost.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, 89 holds.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's,
Go on,
it's
sorry.
money that our taxpayers are paying for. No
Yeah.
doubt about it. Yep. We've had an increase in, or I've had an increase of questions about immigration assistance and whatnot. Maybe you have too, I don't know. But what seemed to bring it to a head was 3 weeks ago we were investigating a crime scene out on Colorado Highway 184 and County Road 40. And I was approached by an individual who, because of our unmarked vehicles and slowing traffic down with our emergency lights around that big curve, since we had to work in the area of the highway from this crime, we were asked if we were ICE agents. And of course, it says sheriff all over the place, and explaining that that wasn't the case, and then wanted to know if this was an ICE raid that was going on. There hasn't been anything like that here, but the thing is that if I've never received any requests from Immigrations and Customs to enforcement to assist with any arrests that they're making. They've got their own job to do, and but I know I was questioned by several media too about ICE raids and whatnot. So we have not had that situation here at all. Okay, just so you know. We do have detainers that we had 3, I think, that are in custody. There may only be 2 now. ICE is notified because they know that where they're at, of when their case is over with or when they're released. We don't hold them any longer than 6 hours. In fact, most people that are bonding out or released from custody are generally done within about 3 hours. But ICE knows this, and it's not a problem. It's not a violation of the law. We don't hold them for ICE. We can't by state law. So just so you know. But I know that the Senate Bill 276 that went into effect this year dealt mostly around the courts and dealing with probation and other court personnel of communicating with Immigrations and Customs, just so you know. Other than that,
Okay, question?
anything else?
No, I don't have
Any
more.
questions? Pretty much as usual.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thank you, sir. All right. George, Coroner's report.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, for the year, it's been going pretty good. It's been a little bit under last year. Coroner calls, I'm down 5 from last year at this time, which is a good thing. Hospice is actually down 11 calls from last year at this time. So total calls has been 91 versus last year was 105 between combination coroner and hospice calls. Suicides are down, which is great. We've had 2. Last year at this time, we'd had 6. Motor vehicle accidents straight across the board. We've had 1 this year, 1 last year. Homicides were at 1 this year. We had 1 last year, or 0 last year. Overdoses, we haven't had any yet. I have one, I'm waiting on toxicology, pretty sure it's gonna be an overdose. We had 2 last year. And then last year we had 2 pedestrians hit, and we've had 2 so far this year. So,
Pretty consistent. Have you compared it for the 3 or the 5-year outlook historically, or is that just last year?
that was just going off last year.
Next time, can you look at that? Just look at a 3 to 5-year historic data.
Okay?
Just, and specifically the growth of the population too. You know, what is it moving at the same pace of the population, or more, or less?
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Okay,
I can do that.
perfect. Any other questions?
No,
No?
Okay.
You
Thanks,
guys have
sir.
a good afternoon.
thanks, George.
Fairgrounds, Justin.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So just to kind of go over some of the things that we've been doing out there. It's been pretty busy. Just had the Ute Mountain Rodeo, of course. So hopefully everybody got a chance to go out and watch that and support it and see how well of a job they're doing with that. I think it was the 95th year, if I remember right, or 95th annual. So, but over the last few months, or the last quarter, some of the big shows that we had were some of our annuals still. We had the 4 States Ag Expo this year, back in March again. Their 43rd annual, and they're looking at, you know, having it set again for next year. The Four Corners Home and Garden Show, we also had that way back in April. They had their 25th annual out there, and they've been really building on their show and still moving ahead, I think. I'm pretty sure they actually sold out a lot of their booths and stuff for this year, so they're actually doing really good. The Cortez Gun Show, we always have that in April as well. We had that one, and they keep having to deal with state regulation, obviously, with some of the laws that keep passing, but so far they've been able to kind of stay with it and keep going. So hopefully for future years we get to still see them kind of do something as far as a show out there at our fairgrounds. Getting into the end of April, we had Vision Agility Dog Trials out there. That's something we got back after a couple years. They kind of do just an agility dog show over 3 days. So they kind of have all different dogs that do the little obstacle courses and all that. They're going to run again here coming up this next weekend, or not this next weekend, but the weekend after. And then they're going to have another one in October. So glad to have them back in here. The circus, we did do a little circus back in April as well in the indoor arena. That seemed to have a very good turnout. I think the kids loved it, enjoyed it. You know, it's kind of one of those little things. Nothing too big or crazy, but definitely fun for the kids. Also back in May, we had Temple Grandin show up at the fairgrounds, and that was kind of a 4-H event. She's somebody that's very popular in the agricultural world, and so she kind of came in, did a little seminar and a speech and all that for the 4-H kids there at the fairgrounds. One of the other big things we did back in May was our 12 Hours of Mesa Verde mountain bike race, of course. We do that one every year. It was, again, a huge turnout, lots of people out there. They do a real well job at putting that thing on. I mean, it's well run, and it's a great event for the community. The racetrack out there, they've done some car races. I think they've had 2 sets of car races now, one back in May and then another in June, and then I know they did a weekend of mud bogs, and it seems like they're doing okay as far as putting things on out there at the moment. We're coming up on this weekend doing our monster truck show. It's going to be the 2nd year in a row. This year we're going to do a 2-day instead of a 1-day. They sold it out last year and had like 3,000 people at it, so we're looking at anticipating a good, sellout hopefully for both days again this year. The same weekend, this coming up weekend, we're also going to do a kind of a trailer show in the indoor arena. So on Friday it's going to be IFA and Weaver putting on a clinic for the kids, kind of a show clinic for them. And then on the Saturday and Sunday dates, it's going to be the actual show, which is put on, it's called the Denim and Diamonds Hog, Sheep, and Goat Show that they'll do up there in the indoor arena. Later in June, we'll have our ranch rodeo, which we generally do every year. The Ag Expo puts that one on. You know, they kind of just do ranch event type competition, timed competition, where they, you know, do teams, and then the teams will kind of do ranch style stuff, or, you know, competition like trailer loading and tying and sorting and things like that. It's always a fun show to go watch. And then we'll be moving into kind of our 4-H, or our 4-H horse show, which kind of starts our fair a little bit. They always like to run the 4-H horse show a week before the fair just to kind of fit it in, so we always do that the weekend before. And then it kind of goes into our Montezuma County Fair the week after that, which I do have the 25th on there, but it actually starts on the 26th. And you know, I think they got a decent lineup for the county fair this year. I know you can kind of go see their schedule on their Facebook page and maybe on our website. Then we move into August to our annual CDOT rodeo that we have out there. And then we've got a set of barrel races coming up at the end of August. So it's kind of a look ahead of what we're doing for events. Been really busy. The other thing we're looking at is trying to still work on the parking lot area out there for some ADA parking. And right now I am in contact with Jones and DeMille as far as getting that engineered plan together. And it sounds like it shouldn't take too long for them to get me something back. Maybe just a couple weeks. And then
Yeah, because I think last time we talked about it, until you got completed with specifically the fair, we wouldn't start it until after that, because in that way all of your events are pretty much done.
yeah, as long as we can kind of get past fair, then it kind of gives us a little bit of time
To get that ADA
to get that work. Yep.
and all that other stuff done up there.
So if we can get
Perfect.
something out for bid soon and then have something maybe contracted for fall time, that'd be great.
Yeah, it shouldn't take them very long, looking at their contract or their quote they sent us. It didn't sound like it would take them very long to
No,
get that
I
put together
actually
at all.
talked to him today a little bit, and it sounded like it was pretty straightforward and easy as far as getting all the numbers together and getting all the engineering kind of put into it. It sounded like it wasn't that bad, so they were going to contact me at the end of next week and hopefully maybe have something to show me.
Perfect.
And if I got questions or you guys want to see it, I'll kind of show it to you before we make our approvals. So that's where we're at with that. And other than that, that's kind of all I have for the moment. So,
Questions?
No.
Okay.
Good job.
all right, thank you guys.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Well, if we can get the ADA stuff done, we're gonna be able to make it by 26. We'll be compliant, hopefully. Till they change their minds. All right, Mr. Spratlen, Emergency Management.
Afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
So, again, you get my monthly report. It's online for everybody to read. And
You know my first question.
I know, and I got no answer to that. But let me summarize 3 months, short and sweet. This year, no activation of the Emergency Operations Center, which is great. All of our lifelines are green, of course. Ute Mountain still has the drought disaster in place. Fire situation, a lot of single trees, a couple holdovers over the last 3 months. No major acreage at all, so guys have been jumping on that. No fire restrictions in our county. Currently talking on the zone today. Forest Services, we're all going to have a discussion next week, and I think a couple of agencies, whether it's Forest Service, BLM, I know Pagosa District was talking a little later in the month, but some are all talking about before July 4th to maybe get stage 1 in place, because the indices are starting to show a lot of heat and a lot of drying going on. So anyway, we're having that discussion, so whenever I find out what's going on, I'll email you guys, let you know. that's going on. U Mountain is in stage 1 of a fire ban, and it was because of a lot of, their bear dance and their sun dance, et cetera, that's going to be occurring, so they put that in place. We did have the prescribed burns. Both went really well. So we were looking at the Hay Camp Mesa, of course, and Boggy. So we got a lot of acreage done there. Did have a house fire on Ash, on one of those reports, a business fire on Main, and then a chicken coop fire. But that's about it for any major fires as far as structure fires. Let's see. I did the recon of Goodman Point, looking at different sites that we have up there. Our next one is up. I'm going up to Cavanis as soon as I think it's almost dried out by now. Just go do a recon. That pretty much hit all the sites. We are looking at 15 counties in the Southwest, putting together a site package for the 800 megahertz system because we're phase 6 in the system, and they really never completed some of the holes that we have. We've had wind grants from DOLA. We've had all kinds of grants, and we put towers up. But we still have a couple issues, well, 3 issues. 145 is one of the issues. And so right there at the bend at Stoner, there's Forest Service property, take 3 years to get approval. There's some private land I'm working with. Pre-Sculch the same way. We've got some existing AT&T towers. There's another place, private land, that I'm looking at. And then Goodman Point, I've contacted a couple of, there's places we've got a pad and we can set something up. The owner, I'm still waiting for the owner to get back with me on Goodman Point. They're a company, to see what they might charge. And then I've also got quotes on a couple of existing towers and everything. Just have to put, another building on. But all that infrastructure and all that cost will be covered if we get any kind of grants or congressional grants or something. And we're all working together, 15 counties, and we're trying to prioritize. My priority is Goodman Point, shoot up G, because we're having a lot of issues with communication through there. And it looks really good, the whole thing. But I'll get back to you on Plan A and what we're trying to do. And some of that, involves some leasing, but they cut it way back. So I still got to get, organized. Still going down rabbit holes with communication. So I'll get back with you on a work session, let you guys know.
Hold on, Jim.
Yes,
I guess
sir.
I have a question. At Goodman Point is probably one of the best covered areas we've ever had. And why all of a sudden are we,
For the 800 system,
I know.
yeah.
the 800
VHF,
system.
it shoots down in there, but that canyon is so deep, especially when you get around 17,000 block, and you go all the way past Messer down into there's places you can't get out at all on the 800 system or VHF or cell phone. So I'm working on, we've got Starlinks coming. They're coming in pretty soon. Get the simple packages, to help set up for communication of some sort. Mm-hmm. I've got that repeater coming in July that I can set up for anybody that needs to for fire or evacuation or, how it floods, debris management. Of course, it hasn't flooded this year. Came close almost in spring, but
Doesn't look like it's going to either.
I don't think it's going to happen this year. Yeah, I think we're safe with that one. But I'm working on the communication down in there, and when we actually put a site at Goodman and shot that analysis, it covers that whole canyon. So it actually comes in really good. But that's the 800. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to keep moving forward with the analysis and see what we can come up with. Closed the road twice on 491 and on 160, traffic accidents, pretty much the same. The Colorado Emergency Preparedness Assessment, the SEPA, is complete. That's every 3 years, so we got all the stakeholders together, took care of that. We, the continuity of operation plans for each of our buildings, I got 8 of them done. I'm down to one location. That's Road and Bridge and Maintenance Shop. So we'll be working on that. I was waiting for the new guy, so, and he's all ready to go. So we'll start working on that last one there. We have EMPG funding. There is no notice of funding opportunity out yet, but they believe it's going to come without a problem for this year. And 25 and 26, the last document I saw that was before Congress was they made all these cuts in all the grants. They didn't cut EMPG. It's still at a $312 million. So we're moving forward knowing that the only cut we're seeing in EMPG will probably be 9%. And that was planned already from a year ago.
So there was a lot of conversation Thursday at that statewide fire meeting that I was at.
Yeah.
And I'll look at my notes, but I took it that they were going to be more than 9% cut from EMPG.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well,
because that's,
yeah, what they said is if we don't get, we're going to continue ahead this year, keep submitting all the paperwork. If they don't get anything or no NOFO agreement, then they're going to pay up till the third quarter, September, and then they're going to look at small dollar amounts to finish out the rest of the year, and that's where the cut will be, not very much there. And they have enough funding to go from January to June 30th of next year in their kitty without the NOFO. So we're hoping that looking at 312 million standing there, nothing's changed, we're probably okay. That's just the EMPG, not
right.
Homeland
No,
Security got cut pretty bit.
Homeland Security got destroyed.
Yep.
But EMPG specifically as it relates to us.
Right. That's my understanding so far. And this morning we were on a call and he said they still haven't got the notice of funding yet. So
Yeah, the NOFO.
yep, nothing yet. So we're still standing by on that. Hazard mitigation plan, of course, that BRIC grant 24 was canceled. So we're going with the National Disaster Mitigation Grant, or the funding source, which there's no match. You just go for it. And we've been directed by the state. There's like six of us that are going for the hazard mitigation plan funding out of that. So there won't be any cost on our part. Where we had, the match. I think we had in-kind and maybe, I don't know, 7% match or something by the time we were done, cash. So we're not looking at that. So we're looking at this other enterprise fund that comes from insurance companies. So it's no match. Submit your paperwork, and once you get it, you get awarded. You just send them the reimbursement forms. Not a lot of hoops, not like FEMA is. So integrated preparedness plans done for a 3-year plan's done. Our local emergency planning committee, we're going to go out and visit some sites this month and next month. So we have a few places we're going to go to and do our regular inspections that we do. Then that's about it. Been a little busy planning and getting ready for the fire season. It's already here, so we're ready. Best we know. We'll see with the fire bans and how all that comes about. I was talking to the sheriff. He was talking to all the fire chiefs as well, so he'll be involved in those conversations, and we'll see how we're doing and what we're going to head towards. Been working with the attorney on the WUI thing. I've highlighted that 20 times, underlined it, and but we have a lot of resources that have studied it, so I'll let the wonderful attorney address that at any point. But yeah, interesting code.
Well, we do have longer now than originally anticipated. Instead of the 3 months, we have 9 months to actually adopt it. And then the implementation a little bit farther than that. But I asked that same question again at the DFPC meeting. Who's going to, other than them, and they don't have the resources, who's going to implement the program?
Another department. But, you know, looking at it, in my opinion, it would take 2 FTEs for us to even try to implement it, and that's full-time. Maybe they could get some of our land use code in there, you know, to work it, but it's ridiculous, unfunded mandates, and trying to figure out anything that's in there that's grandfather. 1 or 2 small, that I can see, the rest is, you know, if you build over a certain percentage, you gotta fix this, you gotta do that, and all the,
Well, it'll affect anything that's new.
Yeah.
For sure, and anything over 50%.
Yep.
Alterations.
Yep,
And almost everything in this county is in the WUI,
right,
almost everything.
I know. It's, yep, so,
It goes back to enforcement, you know.
yeah,
We can't afford to do it,
no, no.
so they're gonna have to figure out how they're gonna do it and fund it.
Well, they have a meeting, is it tomorrow? The code?
I don't remember when it is
I
exactly.
don't either. I'm on that webinar just to listen to what they're doing, but I think DFPC been told, figure out, you know, more detail on how you're gonna do all this and what the code's gonna look like, so I'm gonna be on that, just see what I can come up with. I don't know.
Okay.
It's pretty convoluted, as you know.
Thank you, sir.
Good. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Miss Percell and Miss Frizzell. Percell, Frizzell, please come forward. Statewide recording fee and the change. Tell me we're not paying more for the state. You're not going to tell me that, are you?
So basically, there was legislation that passed, we've talked a little bit about this before, and it's changing our recording fees to a set fee as opposed to, in the past, it was $13 for the first page, and then you'd pay $5 for each additional page. But I'm gonna have Deputy, let's see, Recording Supervisor Frizzell go over this with you guys.
So, like Kim said before, it was $13 for the first page and $5 for every page after. The state has decided to get everybody, the 64 counties, on the same page. So now it's going to be a flat $40. Doesn't matter how many pages, if it's 1 page or if it's 100, it's going to be $40. Plus, they have a $1 surcharge and a $2 surcharge that applies to a lot of these deeds also. So it's going to be a $43 flat fee for everybody to record.
It
Then,
doesn't matter if it's 1 page or,
doesn't matter
So-
how many pages, no more. Before it was by page and it's not no more. Except for death certificates. The state has decided that since people are having a hard time of it when they have somebody pass away, that they're going to let death certificates be recorded for free. Except for, there's a $1 surcharge and a $2 surcharge. The $2 surcharge goes to the state. The $1 surcharge is left here at Montezuma County, or all the counties get to keep their $1. Now it's up to the commissioners
it's up to you guys.
if we're going to allow that $1 to be waived, or if you still want to charge that $1 to people to record death certificates.
Several counties are doing it in different ways. Some of the counties are absorbing that $1 fee. Some of the counties are just waiving them altogether. Some of the counties are covering it with their copy fees, or however they want to do that. So currently, the way it stands, if somebody wanted to record their death certificate as of July 1st, it would be a $1 fee to record that document. Just something for you guys to think about.
So the state is now taking $2, which is mandatory?
They're waiving that.
They're waiving
fee.
it for the death certificates only.
Okay.
But they get the $2 from the other documents. And
And we get the $1 surcharge.
And we record, what, 200 death certificates a year?
I didn't, no, we didn't,
On average.
do we have, no, we record more, probably at least, because anytime somebody passes away, if they own property, they have to, they need to record a death certificate, and a lot of families
Even
don't
out
know
of
that.
state?
Even out of state.
Okay.
Because
that's-
a lot of
I
them
was
have
just
middle rights
using-
or something here, so
Yeah.
we got a lot of out-of-state death certificates recorded here too.
Okay. Maybe
So-
I'll just charge them and not the local guys.
So, can you bring us back a recommendation when you look at some of the other counties, like size, like ours?
So I know La Plata is still going to charge the $1 fee. But somebody like Archuleta, I don't think they're gonna charge the $1 fee.
And this all starts July 1st.
Yeah.
We're going to be closing the office at 2:30 on the 30th. So our simple file and stuff can get it implemented. Tyler and stuff can get it implemented on the new charges in all of our systems to be able to change the prices on everybody's system to be able to do the $43 charge.
How is that new for the recording fee of the, I mean, do we do a lot of pages to, I mean, is it gonna hurt us
So-
typically, or is it gonna average out?
So they've done a comparison through most of the counties in Colorado, and it was pretty much broke even on most of the counties. Some of them actually came a little more ahead with the set fee. So as far as our income from these documents.
Okay.
So,
Now
When-
this, oh, go ahead.
sorry, when they did just kind of a quick analysis of Montezuma County, it was going to be really close. Like, not losing, not gaining, really close.
And how often are they gonna update that?
I'm sure that since this is a new program, they're going to keep looking at it every year, especially with the surcharges, because those surcharges are what we get our ERTB grant funds from. So for our updated equipment, stuff like that. So I'm sure they're going to keep track of this.
Which we did finally get that done, right?
We
Okay.
did. Good job.
It's not going to affect any of the marriage license. They'll still be the same price, $30 and $31.50. It will impact the plats, the land surveys, and the maps, because it's all changing the price too.
What about birth certificates?
No, birth certificates, to obtain one, it's still the $20. To obtain a death certificate, it's still the $20. It didn't touch those at all.
Okay.
The UCC, which is when you go borrow money from the bank and you put up your equipment for thing, that didn't change either. It's still the $13 for the first 2 pages and then $5 for the page after. They didn't change the price on that one at all.
So it's all set the same except.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really confusing. Because a lot of it, it's $40, but the surcharge is $1 and $2. So it's actually a $43 is what we'll be charging for documents from now on.
For all recorded documents.
All recorded documents,
So-
except for death certificates.
And then once you guys make a choice on the $1, we're going to work up a worksheet so we can bring it to you guys and you can actually see the actual charges for Montezuma County. So, with all this information on one sheet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if they haven't figured out how to, the surcharge part's going to be worked out
Yeah,
by the 1st of
we're not
July.
even sure how they're going to figure
We
out
don't even
how
know how.
to not charge the $1.
So we charge you $20 to get into this world and maybe $1 to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And nowadays, it's a lot more to get in.
Yeah.
Any questions? Confusion?
No, no.
Yeah.
I think the state's going to be doing this with a lot of their programs because they have one county that'll do it this way and another county does it this way. And it's really confusing, especially since we're doing a lot of e-recording right now. So with the e-recording, if every county does it the same, when the land companies or whatever, they'll know what they're doing before, they won't have to contact each county
Yeah.
separately. So,
And we have been getting the word out through mail, or anybody comes in and records something, let everybody know that it is changing the July 1st, that everything, all the prices are changing.
we've been trying to spread the word.
You know, there's a
Okay.
lot of out-of-staters that The mining claims, that's changing too. The mining claims are gonna go up too. They're gonna be the $43 too. But I don't think they're charging for the mining claims now. It's just the one page or whatever pages it is. It's gonna be a flat $43 charge. And that's gonna be, and that's what's coming up now is a lot of our guys, our people are doing their mining claims this time of the year between now, August and September. So they're gonna be sending them money in that I
So
haven't.
if you got a
and I'm
mining
trying to
claim,
look
get
them
it
up
in
to-
now.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to look them all up and getting this sent to them so they will know by, after
Yeah.
July 1st, it's gonna change.
Get it done
Because we have a
before
lot of the
July
mining
1st.
claims coming up, so.
Okay. All right, thank
Thanks,
you all.
guys.
See you tomorrow.
Appreciate it. See you tomorrow. Next up, racetrack lease contract. Glenn, if you want to come on down. Basically, Glenn had contacted me, I don't know, last week, and he's got some personal issues that he needs to reconsider this. I know, Travis, I talked to you. You'll have to turn on that mic. To bring it forward basically to the attorney, because this is actually a legal and binding contract of whether we can terminate it, get out of it, or what can we or what can we not do,
Can we amend it?
Stephen?
Yeah, I've not talked with Glenn, but I've talked to Justin, our Fairgrounds manager, a little bit. Just so I just know very basically that Glenn had some questions, as I understood it, about what his rights were under the contract. I'm not Glenn's attorney, and technically, whatever legal advice I would give the board would be privileged. So the board could waive that privilege, and I could just kind of talk about the contract. I mean, in general, we've entered into this contract with a duration of 3 years. I don't think it's saying anything privileged to say the board could agree to do things like amend the contract or make changes to the contract. Glenn also has certain rights under the contract, just very generally. Specifically, I would just highlight that the contract does say that Glenn can get written permission to sign his, part of the contract basically to someone else. I don't know if that's something that's been explored. I guess I'll stop there, at least to begin with, just a lay of the land here as we talk about this.
Well, first of all, I personally don't have any issues with you giving us legal advice in public. I don't have any issues with that at all. It doesn't have to be in a executive session, in my opinion. However, I'll then pose the question back to you, Mr. Brace. I mean, have you thought about assigning this to somebody else, or?
I have. Gonna have to get with both Travis, Justin, and make sure that I got 2 people that are, well, I guess 4 people that are, or is it 3 or 4? 3. They're thinking about taking it from me right now.
Okay.
But I need to get with Travis and Justin, and see what their thoughts are. If we can come in agreements to that, then what I would like, if we can't come to an agreement, I guess I should say, is amend the contract to, from a 3-year deal to just this year. That way, if something does happen, and, well, I'd come up a little short because of the emergency, then I can, back out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So I guess then specifically, if you're trying to assign it, then at that point in time, you would just bring back that, obviously, to Justin and or Travis to get to the board. And then we could look at that as an assignee. If not, then we terminate the contract. And then start over or shift gears or do whatever we have to do at that point in time, correct?
Yeah, I think the board has a lot of options. that could include any of those things. And just broadly, if, you know, if Glenn and Braves Motorsports and the board agree on whatever the course of action is, we can, you know, record that agreement and make whatever adjustments the board wants to make. But the board could also like insist on its rights in the contract, which right now it's a 3-year lease of the racetrack, you know, for $15,000 a year, the terms that were recorded at the beginning. So the board has a lot of options, you know, on how to deal with the situation at this time, basically.
Okay. So then I guess, obviously with that being said, if you have a signee or somebody that's interested, then maybe get that in front of us sooner than later so
Okay.
that we can then make a decision prior to the end of the first year, because the first year's already been paid for.
Correct.
So we have plenty of time to make the assignment.
Okay, well, I will get with Justin and Travis, and I guess we'll be, well, you can put it on the agenda, can't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just get the
Okay,
information.
so I'll
Yeah.
get with you and everybody else involved, and we'll come up with an agreement, and might even have to meet Justin out at the fairground with everybody, but, and then I'll have him put it on the agenda, and we'll meet hopefully sooner than later.
Okay,
Sound like a plan?
You bet.
sounds
All right,
good.
thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. All right, Travis, next up is our agreement discussion for Purple Wave.
Gentlemen, this is Purple Wave auction. Basically, what they're going to do is assist us in putting equipment and vehicles on their site. We currently use public surplus right now, which takes staff time. What this will do is they basically come in and from start to finish deal with auction property. I guess the issue here is typically this would go in front of Commissioner Candelaria for signature, but my recommendation is because we're going to end up having lots of rotation of certain items that go on Purple Wave or whatever, is to allow me the authority to sign this. For instance, thought we had the property on here that we were selling. It might be a separate document, but anyways, we have 3 patrol trucks, a boom truck, and a dump truck, and that was on the contract or the agreement. And then if we get another one in 4 months, it's going to be different vehicles, and there's no use in bringing it back in front of the board, just wasting the board's time if we're already agreeing to sell that property. So it would be just kind of an open authorization for me to sign these agreements to sell that certain property.
I mean, I don't have any issues with it. It always comes before the board to disperse. We know what's out
Yeah.
there being ready to disperse anyway. This is just day-to-day operations here, because we're going to approve the disbursement. So I don't have any issues with it. Okay. Sounds good. We'll approve that tomorrow then. Lastly, we have the road and bridge fee schedule discussion. It was presented to us prior to Rob leaving. The only thing that, well, actually, we didn't approve any of them. He only had 2 increases. And I said I would get back to you guys on the math, and I have done that. And this kind of came up the other day as we were, had a conversation with the attorney, Travis, myself, and I'm trying to think of the name of the company that was out there doing fiber.
Yeah.
Who was doing
Clear network.
10-inch core spot so that they could do their potholing. And kind of what we came up with was basically the $50 fee because they were putting everything back into the body of the hole. So they were flow filling the hole, and then they were using this special adhesive, and then they were putting the coupon back into the hole that they had drilled. So that's kind of why this is coming back up. For dust abatement, which I think we've already somewhat decided for us this year. I don't think we're gonna be doing a lot, but this is if somebody wants to pay for it. The $1.50 a lineal foot here was okay with me. And the biggest one for the road breach was, like I said, if a patch is just a typical 2-foot patch, or if it's a 10-foot patch, it becomes a lot more significant. So doing the math, there's nothing out there that's less than $500 a ton for patchwork. And then here again, this would be if we do the patchwork. So like we were talking about in our last conversation, if we're not doing the work, then there should only be an inspection fee. But if we're actually having to do the work, then there should be a square footage fee. And that fee that I came up with is, and actually this is somewhat consistent with the city. I looked at theirs and it's like $12.50 a square foot. And then that way it would be a little over $500 a ton, because then we would have to go out there, prep it, patch it, roll it, and then our guys would have to do that work. So instead of a road breach asphalt, I think it should just be a square footage price. And that's the square footage price that I've come up with, is $12.50 a square foot.
Yeah,
And that's just doing simple math with ton per square foot equaling ton cost.
yeah, I don't see a problem with that. I mean, just cost of oil is gonna determine some of that.
And that's why
Yeah.
I averaged it at the $500 per ton cost, because if we pay $150 a ton, by the time, the only place we can get it is in Durango. So.
I thought I seen Four Corners getting ready to gear up. They pulled in a big propane
Yeah, but,
tank and,
I mean, until that point in time,
yeah,
we still have to go to Durango. So just our mob costs an hour over, hour back, guys getting it ready, and then we actually have to do it. I think we can do it for less than $500 a ton. And again, it's just being fair, but it's consistent with everything else instead of just an arbitrary number. So that's what I would recommend, is just to take it out and
Okay.
put it at $12.50 a square foot.
you have any problem? I don't.
No, I don't.
And hopefully with that, they know it and they'll minimize all of their
Yeah.
Yep,
sizes. I
that's
mean,
exactly right.
but you've gotta, I mean, if you had to replace a culvert, you could replace what you have to replace. If it's a 10-foot culvert, it's a, 12-foot hole. Okay. All right. Anything else? The only last thing is I'll bring to your attention, I am working with Stephen right now to get that contract executed so that we can get, and I'll work with giving CDOT a call so that we can get that engineering out for ad, because there's a time frame just to get it posted, then there's a time frame for advertising, and then there's a time frame for getting it done. So we're running kind of out of time.
Yeah, we're running into the fall pretty quick.
Yeah, I just talked to Don again after we talked, Commissioner, and we got the preliminary plat today, and we sent that back to the title company. So things are moving. I still got to get in touch with the gentleman we're buying the property from, and I'm hoping to get it on the agenda for next week.
Because we'd already approved the fee for the purchase of the property, so
Yeah.
we're good there. We can write that check as soon as we have that contract signed.
Just-
Okay.
Just before the ink dries.
Anything else? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
All right.